You're listening to Sorry for Asking.
Sorry for asking. I'm Cole Connor.
And I'm Adam Ramzi. This is where we talk shop, ask questions,
Tell stories and laugh some laughs about being creators.
as well as consumers of adult content we love watching too.
We certainly do. We also discuss the impact adult films have had on us
On our guests.
and on the LGBTQ community.
So strap on and strap in.
And here we go.
Woo-hoo. Woo. Hey.
Hey.
Hello.
What's going on?
Welcome, everybody, to Sorry for Asking.
I'm Cole Connor.
And I'm Adam Ramzi. Hi, Cole.
What's going on?
Oh, my God, so much.
Happy hump day.
It's a wild, wild season. I'm repping my Night of the Living Daddies shirt right now by Daddy Department from Caswell. You know Caswell, our DJ / rapper.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Daddy's Apartment is his line. I love this shirt. I think it's so
Cute.
cool. And we have this is a very special day. I'm very excited about today's episode. For those of you listening or watching, you may remember last episode, in the latter part of the episode, we mentioned a certain somebody who I was excited about knowing for a long time and potentially getting on the show.
You have such a boner for this person.
I really do, and we're going to get into why. First, let me introduce the iconic, legendary Viktor Belmont.
Oh my God.
Hi.
Hi.
Victor,
Hi,
it's so good to have you.
It's so good to be here.
So you probably weren't listening because you have so many better things to do with your life.
Oh, listen.
But last episode, I sang your praises and shared a couple stories. And then as we were discussing some things, we both kind of looked at each other and were like, you know what? Victor would make a great guest. And I immediately reached out and you were down and here you are. So thank you so much.
Of course.
Welcome
It's
to the
really
show.
be here. Yes, I love being here. For you, anything.
Thank you.
Of course.
So this is Cole. You guys
Oh my
have
God,
met
hi-
before,
Oh,
right?
of course.
Yeah.
I know Mr. Cole.
I feel like how many times have we met where you're like working and dancing now?
Probably for like,
Probably like all
8
of
years. Like in a real way, probably 8 years. That's all I do is dance.
Well,
take
you're a
colors.
workaholic, though.
I am. If I'm not working, I can't think. You know, that is my thing. Thinking bad, money good.
Okay. Yeah.
Has that always been the case?
You can't catch a running target, right? You
You're
can't
right.
hit a running target.
Right.
So, and like, I just feel like, I don't know, I'm a Sagittarius, I'm a fire sign.
Do you not like to like take a look in sometimes?
Oh, I'm
good question.
super spiritual. I take at least a week off every month to just kind of like, why the fuck are you here? What the fuck are you doing?
Okay.
Like, but I take that week and that's my only rest.
Okay.
Everything else the rest
So
of the
the
month
rest
is like,
go. Okay.
Yeah, I was so my plan. I had a plan. It didn't really quite work out because we are kind of on the over the hump of the Halloween week. At the time of this taping, Halloween is tomorrow, so it's like we're kind of in that in between.
It's
we're like
over for me.
Halloween. I know Halloween weekend happened. Now I'm kind of focused on the stressful time that is election week.
oh, woof.
But I was hoping to film with Victor yesterday so that we could talk about that today, but it didn't work out.
Oh no.
Which is okay.
What happened?
Yeah, what happened?
I had an overnight and I got home at like I texted him at like 6:30 and I still had not slept and I was like, do I really want to fuck this person that I really want to fuck?
Yeah.
But I've been
you don't-
thinking about for
you
like
want it to be good when you're filming it too.
and like
you
it's
don't
so
wanna-
different when you go from like a paid, I was telling you in the car, it's so different when you go from a paid situation where I am performing and like I'm completely disassociated. My pussy, it's like shaking my hands. Like if I don't assign it value, it literally doesn't feel like anything to me. So to go from that to like wanting super pleasure with like somebody I actually have a crush on and like I actually care about, I was like, this is just gonna waste my time, waste your
Yeah.
time. And I've waited like 10 years. I can wait one more
And
week.
yeah,
I mean, that is true. And just to give a little bit of background, Victor and I met in San Francisco about 10 years ago when we were both living there. And this was when I was very early in my career in adult films. And Mr. Pam, who has been on this show, who at the time was the lead director of Naked Sword Studios, she reached out to me and she actually kind of pitched this idea. She was like, hey, so like we love working with you. We love that you've been kind of part of the family. We have this idea. You remember Victor? Viktor Belmont? And I was like, yeah, we just met actually. And she was like, what do you think of filming a scene for Naked Swords with Viktor? And I will be honest, I personally at that time was like not ready. I was just like not ready to make that plunge because I'd never had experience with a trans man before. I was certainly fascinated by the idea, and I declined. And like I feel like it took getting to know you. It took me kind of coming into my own. You have to sort of evolve. You have to be open. To new experiences. We've talked about this on the show a lot as somebody who recently has delved into pussy on his own terms. Which, we're going to get into too.
Well, once you're there, you can't leave.
Well, it's kind of
that's the thing.
It's a reunion. It's like
a reunion. Right.
Yeah,
That's right. That's right.
Yes. We love that.
Yeah.
It's
so
a reimagining.
A second coming.
So I have kind of like over time evolved my own tastes, and then you and I have gotten to know each other a little better over the last couple of years as you become part of the hot dog fold and dancing with us, and my crush has developed.
Yeah.
And now here you are.
I am pretty old school, actually. So
What does that mean? Explain.
I'm super flirty. I'm really you'll know.
Oh, I know.
I'm really flirty.
Oh, you mean old fashioned?
I haven't fucked any of my coworkers.
I see.
That's the thing is like we can be cute. We can kiki at the function. We can kiss.
Yes.
It's cute. But like, if you want to legitimately get to know me, like I know you're acting, I'm acting. You don't fucking act like that all the time.
Mm-hmm.
You're not big bad go-go daddy all the time. You're a nerd. I see the Pokemon shit on your backpack. Like I want to get to know and fuck that guy.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I think that because of how I perform and how I come off sometimes, people do get it twisted. So they come at me in a certain way, and I'm like, well, I'm a little bit, it's like I'm patient because I want to eat what I want to eat. I don't want to have like snacks. I want a whole meal.
Well, I think you made the right choice because, like, if you guys had filmed when you're tired and not really into it,
no, absolutely,
and then like it could make you not want to do it again. Like,
and that's not
what we
the
want.
point,
right? and things happen as they should. And I just have so many questions as well. I feel like this is a good opportunity to just get to know you a little better. Just like what your journey's been like. Just as a person coming into their own transness, and then as like a sex worker, I see you kind of as like the foremost, pinnacle figure of the trans male sex worker / porn community.
Thank you.
So tell us about how that's all kind of developed for you, however you want to tell that story.
I think that how I'm that is just time. I don't think that I'm necessarily like a better content creator or like a better artist than any other trans man, but I started posting photos of myself in 2008.
Mm-hmm.
And I started
to what platform?
So in 2008 was MySpace.
Oh wow. Yeah.
And
shut up.
then
This is MySpace?
Yeah, that was MySpace.
Fuck yeah.
2008.
So 2000, and I did camming. Because as a trans man, you could not there was no place to do sex work. You could not sign up for a gay male website and perform because your ID. You could not go onto a women's website because you don't look like that. Yeah. So there literally was nothing except like maybe Chatterbait and a couple other communities. And I started posting photos as advertising to get people to come to my cam show, right? And we all know how to, we're like, we're going, and I was like, I'm going to create this personality.
Okay.
And I'm going to perform as this personality, and I'm going to take photos as this personality, and I'm going to think how people are perceiving me, and I'm going to promote that, and that is how I'm going to make money. And that was like very early on.
And how did you find people perceived you?
You want to become the thing that people need. Okay. So for me, my initial question was, what do people need me to be? Mm-hmm. And if you look at it on an individual basis, I don't need $10 from 5,000 people. I need $5,000 from 10 people.
Ooh.
You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So I've always done my business that way. So a lot of the people I talk to,
the high ticket item.
A lot of the people I talk to on cam shows, I wouldn't have a lot, but I talk to them every day. I'd care. I'd ask them, hey, what do you like? What blah, blah, blah. And you get to know somebody and you become invaluable to them. That is how you create a community. That's how you create connections, and that's how you get better taken care of. You know, like I think that it started in 2008, and then there was Tumblr. Tumblr was where I became super famous because I'm a photographer. So images and GIFs, and for anybody who's watching, Tumblr was like the porn renaissance. Like,
for sure,
more art came out of Tumblr. Like, I feel
erotic
like
art,
erotic art,
for sure,
yeah. Like, it was just a fucking explosion. It was like everyone was making stuff. It was so beautiful, and instead of trying to make art and be seen, you know, on Pornhub or whatever, no shade to Pornhub, but nobody's looking for art on those websites.
Right, yeah.
People, the community was looking for that. So you're within a community that was supporting your art. It was like, and it was because of the medium of photos. That's how I became really popular.
Wow.
And it's because I had more expensive photos, because I had a nicer camera. And the whole reason I got that camera was because I just was like, if you want to look expensive, you're going to have to shoot on something expensive. That was just like when I was 19, 20, I immediately was like, you need to get a nicer camera and you need to make yourself. It's like, people are like, well, there's no representation. We don't see trans men. It's like, okay, well, you keep asking the people who have not put us on the whole time to put you on. They're not going to take photos of you. They're not going to take videos of you. Nobody's going to do it. You have to do it. And I got so frustrated because I applied to a bunch of porn companies as a trans man. I had been a cam boy. I had been so frustrated that I was just like, fuck this. I'm getting a nice camera. I'm going to make myself look good. You know, I was trying to get in with so many people who had the equipment, and I was like, you know what? If the only thing that's stopping me is the equipment, like, figure it out. And then that's when I blew up, is I got the nice camera and people really responded, and I was like, I had just moved to San Francisco in my car.
Okay.
And I was like living in the park, as many transient trans people do. So don't feel bad about that era of your life, because it's very short and you're going to get out of it. So just like put your head down and figure it out, right?
Yeah.
Like,
buy a nice camera.
Buy a nice camera. Go to 24 Hour Fitness. Get a gym membership. Take a shower every day. Make a 2-month plan. Get yourself the fuck out of there. Like, you will figure it out. But I had to figure it out.
Yeah.
And I was living in the park and working at the hat shop. I was working at Gorin Brothers on Haight. And there was this place called the Sex Exchange, and it was right next to a gay bar. And the Sex Exchange was all used electronics. And I walked past like every fucking morning coming from the park. I saw a Canon DSLR, and it was like $400. And I just saw it for like 2 months. I saw it and I was like, I have to buy this camera.
That's going to be mine.
And I was like, my life is going to start when I buy this camera. I just remember walking past it being like, I had slept in the park, taken a shower at 24 Hour Fitness on Van Ness, gone to work, and it would be like I'd be walking to work. I had no money for food. There were some days where I went like 2-3 days without eating, have to steal stuff from Whole Foods or the fucking... I felt so bad from the co-op down the street. But like, you know, like I had to figure out how to eat. I was in the struggle, but I was just like, I couldn't think about anything else. I wasn't even thinking about being in the struggle. I just remember being at work all the time being like, how the fuck am I going to buy this camera? Like,
I mean, have you always been like that? Like, I mean, it's not, everything I'm hearing you talk about is like, even at an early age, this blend of like art and commerce and eroticism, as well as a very, very unique perspective that wasn't really in the mainstream at that time, being a trans man. At 19, you knew, like, every time we've spoken, you display this confidence of like, I know what I want. I know I'm going to go after it. Is that something you had to develop, or is that like, has that always been, you're just like...
I'm so lucky. I've always been that way.
Wow.
I've always been, since I was a kid, I've always been I take a really long time to make a decision. But once I have made my decision, it is made, and move.
Wow.
You know, move. Okay. Like, it is, I will take years and years and years and years to decide. But once
is that to like keep yourself from making the wrong decision, or just do you like...
I think some people have the ability to... I'm a channel. it is not me. Like my power is not me. I'm just a really good receptor for it. And I feel like I get these inspirations that like strike me, like the camera. Like I didn't have a fucking place to live. Why was I thinking I wasn't eating? Why was I thinking about buying a fucking camera? That's so irrational. That is so not, you should not do that.
Wow.
But it was like this channel told me, if you don't get this camera and you don't do this thing, you've got to figure it out. You would just have to think about that.
Yeah. But getting the camera was a means to not having to worry about the things that you were worried about at the time.
I'm still worried about those
Yeah,
same
I
things.
know. Well,
You know, like I'm gonna like, here.
We're always going to be worried about those things.
Porn has never paid for my life.
Okay.
Ever. Trans men do not get money. Let's change that. If this makes you feel upset, change it. You know, if you think I'm wrong, prove me otherwise.
Yeah. Were you, so then around, let's go back around that time that like, were you working with Naked Sword a lot? Were you surprised to be working for them? Was that?
I've maybe had like 2 or 3 studio shoots in my whole career.
Okay.
I'm not booked.
Right. So that's why you're creating your own.
Yeah.
And you always have been.
Yeah.
Have those been good experiences, or did you not like it?
Right. We get similar responses from everybody like this.
Well, here's the deal. All the studios that I've shot for have been really good to me. And I think that part of the reason, I'm going to preface this, part of the reason is I'm an escort who does porn. I'm not a porn star who started escorting.
Right.
Which, for the porn stars who are starting to escort, those boundaries you learn
Yeah.
not in porn. You learn those boundaries when there's a client acting fucking crazy. You learn those.
No, yeah,
Good point.
I know that I am not a good whore.
Is that true?
That is true. Yeah,
What makes you say that?
I have too many. My boundaries are real.
I see.
Loosey goosey.
No, not loose.
Oh, not loose. Not loose.
Not loose at all.
I can't deal when someone even just like talking. I can't seal the deal because if someone gives me anything weird, I'm like, nope.
Yeah.
But I imagine, Victor, you're kind of like that too. I feel like you've developed very much a strong sense of what you want and what you will tolerate and what you won't tolerate. Does that take away from business? I don't imagine.
No.
I feel like that's your draw.
That is totally my draw, and I think that the way that I talk to people is like, I've taken care of kids before. I've been a sister, and I think the approach of being really hypermasculine in talking to men doesn't really work. I think you need to talk to them like they're your, like for me, I'm very like, hey baby, I can't do that. I'm sorry, baby. You know, I very much so like, my doming, you have to earn me being mean. You kind of have to like earn me shutting you down, because I know that people want that, right? So they come at me really hard. Like people come at me really hard because they want to get punished for free. And if I'm just like, no, baby, no, I can't do that.
Okay.
I want to, Poppy. Like, baby, I want to give you that, but I need money. You know. And that draws you in. And then you're like, okay, well, I have this much. And I'm like, okay, well, what do you want, baby? I'm seeking this and this and this. Okay, baby. And then once that happens, I've softly handled the insecure, or not insecure. I've handled the interaction with softness. So then I can lead with hardness safely. Because if I lead with hardness and kink, then I'm going to get that same exact energy back. And I'm going to have to fight. And I just don't like doing that.
Does the Dom Daddy side always particularly include an element of humiliation and punishment? Or do you like, are you firm with a soft hand sometimes as well?
So I have like 2 Dom personalities.
Okay.
They're actually very clear for me.
Sure.
And I wear different outfits.
Okay.
So they are very clear. Humiliation and shame and punishment, all those things are about control, and generally about somebody who wants to be controlled. So that is the power dom. We're talking about a power dom, and anything that relates into power, humiliation, cucking, sissy stuff, wanting to dominate me, you know, anything that goes into that power. You have power. And then you have subhead space. So subhead space is not power. If somebody's goal is to be in subhead space, that's not power. That's not impact play. That's not like power is all those things that are intense, as to where if somebody's seeking to shut their brain off, or you're a good girl, you think too much, you need to put my dick in your mouth. You're thinking too much, daddy. I need to feel you inside of me. Look at me.
Okay.
Kiss me, look at me. I need you. I'm still doming you.
Right.
But I'm very softly kind of, you know, soft dom, soft touch. Even I recently did a scene where I'm spanking somebody and it gets fucking intense. Like I'm fucking her up and I just reach in my hand and I just hold her hand and I'm like, it's okay. It's okay. It's okay.
That's how I like it.
And she's like screaming, you know, she's screaming and I'm just like, it's so, but some people would hate that. Some people would be like, why are you fucking being like, yeah. You know?
Right.
So those are my two.
Gotcha.
I kind of go in between.
Do you mind if I get into a little? I have a couple of questions just
Baby.
about the origin story.
Of course.
For your trans identity,
We love that.
was that early? Was that always known? Did you have to evolve into it? When did you start that journey?
My story is a little different than other people's. And
Okay.
I think every trans man's story is a little different. I think mine is unique because I fully like thought that I was a woman for like 17 or more like 13 years.
Okay.
Like I fully enjoyed womanhood in the way where I didn't feel a lot of dysphoria. I didn't feel a lot of like, this is wrong.
Right.
Until I hit puberty, which I do know. I know a chunk of trans men where this is true. They loved their existence in that, like, it wasn't for me. I was kind of taking care of myself. I didn't really have a lot of expectations on me because I was taking care of myself. So I was kind of introverted. I grew up in a small town. I didn't really have to deal with people. I got to play outside in the woods, you know, like that was great.
Where did you grow up?
Southern Oregon.
Okay.
So kind of near like Medford area.
Gotcha.
Beautiful. Where I grew up is one of the most beautiful places in the world. The people. No. Southern Oregon is great. Southern Oregon is great. The people there are, you know, the winters make you hard and tough. There's not a lot of room for softness. And I think that if you're a city person, that can come off as rude, but like you literally will die. You know, like if you're too nice and not taking care of yourself where I'm from, the cold will kill you in a real way. You don't have your bills paid, like the cold will fucking.
Right.
So you got to act different.
So then you hit puberty and...
I hit puberty and then like, I think for me, it was so obvious that I was performing womanhood. Like once I hit puberty, it was so obvious that I was like, okay, I need to be this way to be socially acceptable. I was like perceiving what was going on, but I was like, the further it went and the more I looked like a girl, because I got bodied super early by like 12, 13, full titties, full hips, looked like a girl, full grown woman. That also is really a lot when you're young to like go from in like 6 months to go from like looking to a kid to looking like a grown woman. That was a lot.
Wow.
And that was when I was like, I don't think this is it.
Wow.
Like, I don't think.
Did you get attention? Like, did you start noticing a lot of attention? The male gaze?
And I had never gotten male attention before in my life.
They're all a bunch of gays.
They're all a bunch of gays.
Well, and it was just, it was confusing to me too, because I was also very sexually attracted to gay men. So that was also confusing.
Wow.
Because I'm like, well, I was lesbian identified,
Okay.
but I would like jerk off reading yaoi and gay porn.
Lesbian identified from the time you were like 13,
from
or
when,
like
when I was a kid, I always knew I was gay.
Okay.
Like, not necessarily lesbian, and I used lesbian because it was like the easiest term for me, and it was the easiest thing to fit into at that time.
Yeah.
I was like, well, I feel like a butch girl.
Right.
Are you into women?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
I'm super bi.
Okay.
I like fucking men. And I love fucking women, but men, there's gay sex, there's a certain dynamic that happens.
Yeah.
Hell yeah, there is.
Where I love fucking women, but like gay sex is just so different. And I want that a lot. And I want sex with women, but I would say like when I'm going to jerk off, most of the time, unless I really like you, I'm looking at gay porn.
Yeah.
Wow.
You know. Actually, I don't even look at porn when I jerk off.
All in your head.
Oh, what an imagination.
I don't need it.
Or you're just looking at yourself.
No, I think about who I want to fuck.
That's what I mean.
I'm very emotional. Yeah, I'm very emotional,
Right.
you know? And
Yeah.
like, I don't have to come every day too. You know?
Yeah.
Well, I'm lazy, so do that for work. But yeah, I was lesbian identified for a while, and then I knew that I was a boy when I was 13.
Okay.
I did theater for Planned Parenthood. So my parents were like, "We have no money. You have to be in every extracurricular ever, so you can get into college for free." Great plan. So I was in sports, martial arts, a bunch of different shit, and I was in Planned Parenthood's teen theater because it was like where I was from. It was the only thing between certain hours where my mom had work. So it wasn't even like a progressive thing. It was like my mom had work and needed me to be somewhere, and my sister had a job because she was older than me, and my mom's like, you need someplace to be. So
Someone has to watch you.
somebody has to watch you, and there's no sex education in Southern Oregon. None. So Planned Parenthood's teen theater would go around and we'd perform in high schools, and teens were allowed to come watch our 45-minute performance of skits and songs about sex.
Oh, wow.
And so I did this really cool, like fucking random ass queer thing. But I play musical instruments and I did all the music. So the reason that I got in was not because of my acting ability. I had to take a bus like an hour to this fancy place to do it. Like the other kids were like art kids, and I was like from Jabumfuck nowhere. But I played guitar, so I did all the songs.
Okay.
And I was the lesbian who played guitar. So I was the diversity.
Lesbian guitarist.
I was the diversity.
We love those.
Yeah. And
Indigo.
oh, I was so lesbian coded. I did the full bang. Like I committed to it. But when I was 13, we had a conference, and my parents almost didn't let me go. But we went up to Portland, and all these kids from all the Planned Parenthoods all across the country who did teen theater were all at this conference talking about teens empowering sexual health. It was dope as fuck. It was the first time I had been around gay people like that. It was the first time I had been around queer people. I was a little kid from nowhere, and there was this girl, and we all had name tags. And we all had to pick up our name tags. And there was this girl in front of me who I thought was super cute. And I was like, oh my God, she's so cute. And obviously queer girl. And she goes in front of me, and she kind of lingers at the table, and I say my name, and they're like, oh, we don't have that name. They had the boy version of my name on a card. So the whole weekend I had to wear a boy's name.
Wait, it wasn't a name tag that you wrote your name on. It was a name tag that was
You had to pick up.
a name
Yeah,
from something.
because they had to confirm, because it was minors in the building. They had to confirm every adult and every minor who went into the building. Yeah, so you had to be like, I'm the teenager, like, here's my thing. And I picked it up, and I was like, oh, this is a boy's name, like, I can't, you know. And the girl was like right next to me, and she's like, I like it better. I think it suits you. And it was like face crack of the century.
Wow.
I was like, and then the whole weekend she called me that. And that fucked with my head for like ever, because I was like, wait. And then everyone around me was like, yeah, you act more like a boy anyways, not even like a girl, not even like a lesbian. You just act like a boy. Like you just, and having everyone around me say that, I didn't know trans men existed until I was 16.
Okay.
So I was just like left at 13, just kind of like, I guess. And then I met my first trans man at 19, and I immediately met him and I was like, what do I have to do to look like you?
Wow.
I just asked him. A girl I was dating, again, she was a stripper in Portland and she was a dancer, and I was her like little boy on the side, and I would like pick her up in my car and take her to sushi because she didn't have a car, but she'd pay for everything. So like I'd drive her around, and she had a boyfriend, and like we wouldn't fuck, but like sometimes. And one day she was like, I think you need to go to this bar called the E-Room. I don't know, for those who are old, the E-Room was the escape room, which was one of the only lesbian bars in Portland, off of like 192nd something. And she was like, go to this bar. I had a fake ID. I used my sister's ID. And she's like, go to this bar and look for this type of person. Kind of looks... Don't speak like this. I'm not approving anybody to fucking speak like this at all.
This is like a reflection of the time.
Look at where the bull dykes or somebody who has like facial hair is. Look for somebody real fucking butch and talk to them. I think you need to talk to them, because I was like hanging around a lot of femmes. I've always been the punk community more than the queer community in that time period, where like activism and like food not bombs and fucking the patriarchy and all that was more important to me. But I went to the E-Room and I saw this man. This fucking man. I went alone, but I walk in and he's like big, buff, 200 pounds, 5'10", big dude. And I'm like, I don't know what this dude is doing here, but I'm going to talk to him. Maybe he knows what's up. And I walk up to him and he just, if you're a trans man and you see like somebody who's not out yet coming up to you with that look, you're like, oh, I know exactly what you're coming to talk to me about.
Wow.
And I came up to him and I was like, hi, my name's blah, blah. And he talked to me for a second. I just looked at him and I was like, how do I look like you? And he said, well, you order steroids from Mexico and you inject them. And he was talking about testosterone.
Yeah. Right, of course.
And so I bought testosterone off of the GeoCities website.
Wow,
the
GeoCities.
GeoCities, Angel Cities
Old
website.
school.
And I had no idea how much to take because there was no information on it.
Yeah.
So I just played guinea pig.
Okay.
And I was like 19. And that is the big marks of my transition, where I was like, I committed to being like, somebody calling me a boy, it fucking with my head. And then like this girl that knew me really well, she was my homie. And she's like, I think you need to like...
Wow.
think you need to investigate this and you're going to be happier.
So is that when it started to make sense?
Totally. Well, I just came out. I met him and I was like, what? I asked him and then I was like, do you have a pussy? Most terrible question you can ask. And of course he's, an elder. So he was so nice to me, and he did not need to be nice to me, but he was like, yeah, I was born a woman. I'm a man. My name is Gabriel. Like,
right.
And he was from Nicaragua. His family was really accepting of him, and seeing his family like just not care was just like, I think that's part of why I have the confidence. Is very young I saw a very traditional quote unquote family not give a fuck. And
how's your family in comparison?
I don't talk to my family.
Oh, okay.
I don't talk to my family. Fuck them.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, I haven't talked to my extended family since I was 15.
Okay.
And I haven't talked to my regular family in probably like 7 years.
Because they're not accepting?
No. Well, yeah. My
right.
extended family, I grew up Catholic, so my extended family, absolutely fucking not. Right. Absolutely not.
Yeah.
And I think that like it's much easier to not deal with something than it is to deal with something. I feel like if we both probably like, in a lot of families, I think this is good to talk about for trans people, but like sometimes your family literally is so awkward they don't know what the fuck to do, and they just pretend that you died. They might not say that you're dead, but it's like it's just easier for them to just be like,
disassociate.
Well, this doesn't make sense in my perfect Catholic world, so I guess we're just never going to talk about it. And that's weirdo shit. But I also understand where it's like, if my existence is going to ruin your whole entire concept of life.
Yeah. Well, religion doesn't. I mean, a lot of religion like that doesn't really focus on learning how to deal with things
right.
that aren't.
My granddaddy was a deacon, though, so it made me real good at talking.
Wow, it all makes sense now.
Mm-hmm.
So then, as part of this journey, how did the sex work started coming in? Is that something that also was just like a quick, like, this makes sense for me, or
People have always been sexually inappropriate with me, and I think
inappropriate? Okay.
Wildly inappropriate. They've always come to seek to get punished. People have always come to me ever since I hit puberty to be punished.
Huh.
I have a big personality. I take up a lot of space.
And you carry yourself this way.
100.
I guess you were always a dom daddy on some level.
That's just how I am. I don't mean to, and I don't hate having that power. I like having that power. It's not a bad thing for me, but I very early on was like, you have to learn how to deal with this, because like people are. And so I first started doing sex work as a girl, kimming as a girl. I dommed as a mistress until I could not.
Okay.
Because that coin is too cute. I was like, I could not. I was like, you're going to give up so much money by doing this.
Oh, wow.
You're going to give up so much money by doing this. But I was like, I also cannot do this.
Okay.
And there was a point when I was living in San Francisco where it's like the point of no return with clients. You see clients for a long time, and like you're doing sex work and you're in girl drag and you're like doing the girl drag, and eventually they're like, so I think we might have to stop seeing each other because you're too passable.
Too passable.
As a dude, where it's like all the straight clients that I had, the straight men that I had, they were like, I can't, you smell like a man, you look like a man. I'm like, I know. It was actually really gender affirming.
Okay, interesting.
It was really gender affirming to have dudes be like, yo, I'm straight, I cannot.
But was this transition or?
This was like a couple years on hormones.
Okay, I see.
Because hormones for me took a really long time to hit.
You're like, I guess the hormones.
So you were on hormones, but still doing girl drag for the job.
Yeah.
I see.
Oh, yeah.
I see. Okay.
Because you have to coin in as much, if you can mentally handle it. I know a lot of guys, that would be like such an unreasonable ask. I just literally viewed it as drag. Yeah. And I think maybe because I did theater and I was a performer, I was like, I'm just putting on a costume.
Right.
And I'm a faggot. So like, I'm like, girl, I can give me drag. I love a wig. Give me drag. But eventually that stopped. And then I had to figure out how to do sex work as a trans man, which I feel like a lot of trans men are in that space right now. They're figuring out how do I make money? How do I do this? It's different than gay boys. It's different than straight boys. It's different than cis women. It's different than trans women. It is trans male escorting and sex work is just really unique.
Yeah.
And you get a lot of different types of people.
Oh.
That's
Can we still? I can't hear myself. So.
Yeah, let's make sure.
Under my foot.
Pause.
Break.
Yeah, that's me.
Listen. Take two. We love that.
Okay. Thank you, Tony.
But yeah, I think that a lot of trans men are in the space of like, how do I make myself equitable? How do I, advertise myself? Those were the big questions maybe like 5 or 6 years ago. And now, baby, now, I don't think I ever imagined this. How many of them?
How many of what?
Trans men there are making porn and doing sex work.
Yes. I mean, and I want to kind of bring it back to adult films as well, because, that's a big part of what we talk about on this podcast. And, before I met you and knew of you, I think the only visibility that I experienced with that was Buck Angel.
Oh, totally.
And I remember seeing the first porn. You know who Buck Angel is, Cole? Buck Angel was like in the mid 2000s, the only trans man
2004
that was doing any studio porn. Yeah, because I remember.
I don't think I would have seen it then.
I remember seeing this 3-way, and it was like 3 muscle dudes.
Cirque Noir. I think.
Is that what it's called?
I think so, yeah.
Because I remember, like, it was my boyfriend at the time had shown it to me, and, you know, it was like a big reveal. It was like, you know, there's this three-way, and, like, you know, one of them is this bald, bearded muscle dude, and, like, you know, he's pulling out this dick out of... Oh, there we go. Buck Angel. Thank you, Tony. Yeah, and I remember, like, there was, like, a whole reveal where he, like, kind of pulled the dildo out of his pants, and the two guys were like, it's got a fucking pussy! But then they all fucked.
Yeah.
And I remember being like, what? This is turning me on. Like, I was really surprised by it. And I was almost like, even in the mid-2000s, I was able to be like, fuck yeah. The fact that this exists at all is so cool. But we never really heard about it again until, at least from my perspective, when you entered the scene.
Yeah, so when I shot for Naked Sword, that scene with Justin Brody was the first gay male porn.
Oh, Justin Brody.
It's the first gay male porn made with a trans man since 2004, and that was in 2014. So it had taken gay porn 10 years. I was the first trans guy who was a go-go in the Castro on Retainer.
Yeah.
And this was when, 2014, 10 years ago.
Right.
So it's just like the change that has happened in 10 years, especially for somebody who's been doing it. I've been doing online sex work since I was 19. Like 1929. Like, so crazy that there's so many. And
what do you think that is in response to?
well, people want to see it. I think the thing that I always hear is like, we can't book trans men because it's not going to make us money. We can't book trans men because people don't want to see it. Look in my DMs.
There's such a
like,
market.
they were wrong.
Look in my DMs.
That is wrong.
That is so wrong.
Yeah.
But I think because humans are pattern based, you have to spoon feed them. You have to. So it's like, it's like, Jake Bass. Do you know who Jake Bass is? I'm going to go way back here.
I think so.
Okay, can we pull up a photo of Jake Bass? I want to give you a real piece of my history right now so you can see how crazy this is. So Jake
Bass was a performer, right?
He was one of the first tattooed twunk performers in that category. He kind of created...
He's trans, though? No, he's not. Yeah.
But he was one of the first porn stars who started to curate a personality online.
Yeah. He was not very nice to me.
I'm sure, I'm
just going to mention that.
But what I saw him doing was he was creating a personality. It was the first time I saw somebody creating. I'd seen porn stars. I had never known porn stars who were starting to create brands.
Right.
And so I was like,
but where were they doing that? Like, I feel like until you had platforms like OnlyFans and stuff, like
MySpace.
it was harder. Okay.
He was huge on he was huge on MySpace.
Okay.
And what I saw is I was like, okay, he takes photos with a nice camera. He does a lot of nice camera photo shoots. He has a neck and hand tattoo, and he looks a little sad. No shade, but
yeah, he had a James Dean quality about him.
There's something in his eyes. So I was like, if he's the number one porn star, I just need to look exactly like him. And I just need to do exactly what he does. And guess what? It worked.
Yeah.
Because people were like, I like this, and then this thing is slightly different. So this looks like the guy with the tattoos with that sort of body, but he has a pussy, but everything else kind of reads similarly.
Yeah.
And I think I kind of got in the door with that because the alternate dudes, like if you're into alternate tattooed guys, you're kind of probably a little bit more into alternate bodies. So I feel like I got in there, and then once I got a little hook, there were a couple leaders who broke the door open. And now that there's OnlyFans, you can just be whoever you want in the middle of fucking nowhere. Yeah. You can be a trans man in the middle of fucking nowhere and be like, I only make jerk off videos with octopus dildos. But you're going to be the only one.
Yes.
You're going to dominate. And that's what I love seeing is the really niche performers where I'm like, oh my God, you're the only trans guy making this content. It's so cool.
Yeah. And Naked Sword at the time was, I think that was sort of what their brand was, by the way, was just a kind of not super duper fit, but tattooed, cute, You know, like kind of like boyish but rough around the edges.
That was before they were with
very different from what
Falcon.
they are now.
Yeah.
I mean, no, they were still with Falcon,
with Falcon?
yeah, but like that was the brand that Mr. Pam was asked to bring to the table. Was
Okay.
kind of like boyish, twunky, tattooed, like boys.
Yeah.
So I feel like that was. I mean, it was
like
a
Colton Gray.
Colton Gray at the time, certainly, yeah. But like, you know, Bray Love and, you know, Justin Brody certainly was like more of like a buff version of that. I was part of the team at that time.
And Justin, part of the reason Justin and I think our video popped off was Justin was walking runway.
Yes, right.
So he had just done Fashion Week. So, and he was kind of a fashion darling at the time.
And he's an artist as well.
He's
So I know that he wanted to work with someone like you and was like, that'd be punk rock for us to do this, like in a studio scene.
And Mr. Pam was like, you can't tell anybody about this. Like, we're doing this and we're doing this, but you can't be like, you can't open your mouth about this until this hits.
Okay.
And she was like, you need to just know what she was like, because I had bugged her years and years and years and years and years. And I was like, because she went with all the gay boys who shot all wanted to fuck me, but all wanted to fuck me on the low and would like see me at the club and then DM me after. Because it was in that era where gay boys were going through the same feelings you had, where they were like, I want to fuck this person.
Yeah.
I'm intimidated by them.
Yes. It was certainly a missed opportunity for me, I will say, but it's true. I had a few years on Justin, so I feel like I was still I had a little more work to do. Whereas I think Justin in his mid-20s and his like super punk perspective was like, fuck yeah, I'm doing this.
And I think a lot of it has to do with like gay men's desire for trans men. This is going to go off topic, but gay men's desire for trans men is confusing for gay men because you've gotten ostracized for liking what you like.
Right.
Oh yeah, like I mean, on Twitter you post something with, if we collabed, like there are people that think if you are a gay person and you have sex with a trans man, that makes you something other than gay.
Well, there is a certainly, like we've talked about this a lot, Victor, on this podcast, that there are these crusaders on the internet who are just like, you know, unless you're just do gay content, you're doing a disservice to the community.
And those people
And it's
are
bullshit.
wrong.
They're wrong.
You're wrong.
And I feel like it's a dated perspective. It's almost like right wing style rhetoric that doesn't fit in today's standards anymore. And I love that there's this new.
Well, it's alt left, or it's like the same thing on the left side, or it's like,
I suppose, I don't know what you mean, but
we've
got to wrap up this conversation soon. So like let's focus.
I think, you know, as a trans man, especially like dealing with gay men, like I get paid to deal with your shame.
And you're monetizing it.
And I'm monetizing it,
yeah.
but I get paid in the dark.
Okay.
So gay men come to me who have survived the AIDS crisis,
Right.
who have fought their whole entire life to suck cock. It's huge identity for them because they got hurt, and I understand that they got hurt, and how they got hurt is so fucked up.
Right.
I can't even start to fucking imagine. I can't start to unpack that pain. I do not know what that feels like.
Yeah.
But to fight so hard for that, and then to have my existence make you question that just by me standing next to you, that's got to feel pretty crazy. Like, I don't think about that because I'm existing as myself. Like, I'm not a cis person. I don't know what cis panic feels like. I do not. I've been trans since I was 18, over almost half my life. I literally don't know what that feels like. So I can imagine if somebody has tried their whole life and been ostracized and fought, you're going to have to fight through a lot to even get to the point to admit your desire, let alone be cool with it. And so any negative reaction saying you're straight or you're whatever, replace you with I. I am afraid of. I am afraid of being straight. I am afraid of liking that pussy. I am afraid of wanting to have sex with this person. I'm afraid of not being gay. And when you replace that you, and you realize that these people are just projecting, you get to kind of feel sorry for them.
What empathy. Like, I mean, that's really admirable to be able to see it from that perspective.
Yeah.
Well, you're not going to be able to change anybody. And I think that is my thing, is even if I can just leave you with a moment of just being like, listen, I'm just going to make you think a little bit more, because maybe you can dig a little bit deeper, because you're more than what you thought. Maybe you're more than what you thought.
Yeah.
And I think that is like my superpower. That's my superpower, is I'm just like, don't be afraid of me. Let's talk about it. But like, yeah. And with gay men, especially, like if you're in any situation with a trans man, like, you know, this might be hard to hear for everybody in the room. You're having this whole experience, but I'm fucking existing. I still don't have my rent paid, and I'm still not eating for days. You are in such a position of privilege to even have an emotional reaction about my existence.
Wow.
When every fucking day I have to wake up and deal with that all day.
Yeah.
So like, the emotional labor trans men have to do is crazy, but also trans men are the secret to healing men. So like,
Fuck yeah. My God. I mean, I feel like we could go for a full other hour. I have so many questions. Is there anything you want to plug? I feel like you're up to a lot lately with your own content creation. So what can you share with our listeners where they could find you?
Yeah, so I have 3 lives that I do. If you want to interact with me, I think interacting is really awesome. I have 3 lives I do a week. They're on Tuesday, Friday,
like
and
live
Saturday.
shows?
Yeah, live shows
gotcha.
on my OnlyFans. So on my OnlyFans, on my free OnlyFans and paid OnlyFans, I do lives 3 times a week. Come watch cartoons or do group training on Fridays for a fetish, or work out with me on Sunday at noon. All on my OnlyFans. It's lit. It's fun as fuck. I get naked. I jerk off. It's the thing I'm most excited about right now.
Cool.
So if you want to come party with me, party on my OnlyFans. It's honestly so fun. And other than that, I have just a bunch of scenes coming out. So watch me fucking get fucked.
Yay.
Hey, you're such a good storyteller.
I know, my God. I want to do a part 2, like, immediately.
I feel like I was talking the whole time. But
No, it's. I mean, at least you do it well.
Yeah. Yeah.
Good. Love that. Listen.
Gosh, but thank you so much for doing this. I'm gonna have to drive you back to Hollywood. I have more questions.
Yeah.
Maybe I can add those in the comments or something. But thank you for doing this, and let's make good on our word.
Yeah, I can't wait
My
till you
dear.
suck my dick.
Yeah, I can't wait to see it.
I was gonna ask about you, because you've said that before, and I was gonna be like, okay, yes.
We can do it in the bathroom.
Oh my God, get out of here. Okay, all right. Well, thank you so much. That's a wrap on episode 21, season 3. Thank you, Victor, so much for joining us.
Of course, anytime.
Thank you, Tony. Thank you, listeners.
Thank you, everyone.
Yeah, thank you, Cole.
Okay, great.
I'm Adam Ramsey.
I'm Cole Connor.
And I'm Viktor Belmont.
This has been Sorry for Asking.
Bye now.
Bye.
This has been Sorry for Asking. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. And until next time, stay sexy.